I think my ex-fiancée Jess, 31 years old female, might have tried to get my wife Olivia, 30 years old female, drunk and cheat on me. My wife thinks I am overreacting and overthinking the whole situation. Can someone tell me if I would be a jerk to ask Olivia to stop being friends with Jess immediately? For context, Jess and I started dating during the sophomore year of our college. We met through mutual friends and connected instantly. She was charming and outgoing and made friends instantly everywhere she went. I am more shy and nerdy, but I enjoyed going out to parties with her. We got engaged on our graduation day as both our families were attending. I got a job in a big tech company right after college, and Jess moved in with me while looking for jobs. That is when the relationship started going downhill. Jess was an art major and had trouble finding a stable job. She did a bunch of freelance work and mostly worked from home. I was overwhelmed with work. She always wanted to go out to bars and clubs, and I wanted to rest in the evening after 10. 12 hours of work. I was okay with her going out with friends alone, and I would sometimes tag along on the weekend. It bothered me that she was still in her party girl phase. She complained that I was becoming boring and should enjoy my early 20s before we settled down. I was also not happy with the friends she hung out with, as there was a lot of drinking and drug use. Even when I went out with her friends, she would be extremely flirty with guys in her friends group. Her excuse was always that she gets flirty when she is drunk, or she was just joking. I had enough and decided to call off the engagement after 2 years, as we were just different people at that point. The breakup was messy, and she kept trying to get back with me for almost a year. There were some incidents where Jess may not have acted in her best judgment, and I blocked her from all my social media. I did not want to deal with the drama and wanted to move on. I also got a transfer to another town around that time and never heard from Jess again. This is when I started dating my wife, Olivia. My wife was the exact opposite of Jess. She was very soft-spoken and a homebody like me. She knew I was engaged before. We dated for 3 years and happily married for 2 years now. However, one of the sticking points we always had was my Thursday nights. 3 of my closest college friends are now scattered all across the country, and we generally play a video game together on Thursday evenings since our college days. Olivia complained that she gets bored during that time. About 6 months ago, Olivia told me she got a Facebook invite for a group where they had painting and wine nights on Thursdays. It was mostly 10 women who got together at someone's house and spent the evening painting, drinking wine, and gossiping. According to Olivia, it was just a few housewives and divorcees, and they welcomed her. One of the women's names was Jess, but I did not think much of it. 2 weeks ago, Olivia told me it was Jess's birthday, and they wanted to a ladies' night at a club. Olivia hates loud music, but Jess convinced her to come for dinner and some drinks. On that night, I got a call from Olivia at 10 p.m. asking me if I could come and pick her up. I could tell something was wrong and immediately left to pick her up. I went to the bar and went in to pick up Olivia. I was shocked when I realized that her friend Jess was my ex-fiancée. She also looked surprised to see me there. I was polite and said hello to everyone, but Olivia wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. After we went in the car, I told Olivia that Jess was my ex-fiancé, whom I had not seen for almost 7 years. Olivia was shocked to hear it, and she did not know about it. It was crazy since I did not even know she lived in the same city as us. Olivia told me Jess was the one who had started the painting group. She had divorced her husband 2 years ago and moved to our city for a fresh start. The reason why she called me was because she was getting uncomfortable with the situation at the bar. Since Jess and one of the other women were single, they kept on encouraging guys, hitting on them and inviting them over to their table. Jess was trying to get everyone drunk and was asking Olivia to open up and have fun. She was constantly hyping up Olivia to 2 of the guys who bought them a round of drinks. At this point, Olivia excused herself to go to the restroom and called me to pick her up. I am not happy with the situation, but I am also not mad at Olivia. I am just uncomfortable with Olivia hanging out with Jess. I told Olivia about the same. Olivia told me that she was never going to put herself in the same situation again with Jess or anyone else. Also, this friends group is the only real social life she has since we both are in a completely new city. She does not want to stop going to her painting nights with her friends. I brought up the thought that Jess could be acting in malice, but Olivia told me she did not think Jess would know I was her husband, as Olivia never showed my picture to anyone in the group. She also said that it's been 7 years since we broke up. Jess is a kind person. and I should not judge her based on one night when she was drunk. She still wants to stay friends with Jess. On one hand, I do not want to separate Olivia from her friends. But my gut feeling is telling me something is off in this situation. Besides, it feels weird to have my ex be friends with my wife. Am I the jerk to want Olivia to stop being friends with Jess because of my gut feeling? Or should I just let it go as it's Olivia's call to make? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot, but you need to remain low-key and let Olivia process this information. The paint and wine nights are harmless, and the birthday bar night could just be a one-off, and Olivia may choose to not participate in one ever again. She also knew how to handle the situation on her own, so she's not a vulnerable, naive waif fresh off the turnip truck. Trust your wife. If she gets any mean girl vibes off of Jess, she'll know how to deal. Comment 2. So Olivia randomly got invited to this group by Jess via Facebook. Does Olivia have your last name? Are you and Olivia's profiles cross-referenced? Does she have photos of you on her page? Do you have photos of you two together on yours? Because it seems to me Jess looked up your page, saw she was your wife, went to hers and invited her for painting and wine and more. If so, Jess is psycho, or I watch too much Lifetime. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for the update. So it's been a week since I last talked about Jess and Olivia, and let me tell you, things went from bad to worse. Olivia decided to give Jess the benefit of the doubt and went to another painting night. I was uneasy, but I didn't want to be that controlling husband, so I kept my mouth shut. Big mistake. Turns out Jess had been digging into Olivia's past, trying to find dirt on her. She brought up an old legal issue Olivia had back in college, something about a protest gone wrong that Olivia was a part of. It was a low blow, especially since Olivia had put that behind her, and it had nothing to do with her life now. But Jess just laid it out there in front of everyone, making Olivia look bad. I was livid when Olivia came home and told me about it. She was embarrassed and hurt, and I felt like a fool for not trusting my gut. But here's where it gets even messier. One of the women from the group, let's call her M, reached out to me. She felt guilty because she knew Jess was targeting Olivia and wanted to come clean. M told me that Jess had planned the whole thing, even the night at the club, because she found out Olivia was married to me. Jess had seen a wedding photo of us at Olivia's place and put 2 and 2 together. She was out for revenge, trying to mess with our lives because she never got over our breakup. I was ready to confront Jess, but Olivia stopped me. She said it would only cause more drama and that she could handle it. Olivia went to Jess and told her off, saying she knew everything. Jess played dumb at first, but then she broke down, admitting she was still hurt and angry about our past. She said she felt like her life was a mess, and seeing me happy with Olivia made her do crazy things. Now, I should have been happy that Olivia stood up for herself, but instead, I felt weak. I should have been the one to protect her, to keep Jess away from the start, but Olivia, she just forgave Jess. Said she felt sorry for her, and that holding on to anger wouldn't help anyone. I couldn't believe it. It was like she was the bigger person, and I was just there, feeling useless. And just when I thought we could move past this, another bomb dropped. Olivia found out she was pregnant. We were over the moon, but then she started worrying. What if Jess did something to mess with our happiness again? The stress was the last thing we needed, especially now. So we made a decision. We're moving. Not running away, but starting fresh. Somewhere Jess can't reach us. Olivia's already looking for new painting classes, and I'm transferring to a different branch of my company. It's a big change, but it feels right. Thanks for reading. My dad cheats on my mom for 13 years with his rude wife who calls me a failure. So when they try to cut me out of the will, I take them to court and watch them lose everything. Me, an 18-year-old female, and my father, a 50-year-old male, have never really had a good relationship to begin with. After I found out he cheated on my mom with his current wife, whom I'll refer to as Lisa, for 13 years, I haven't really wanted to associate with him unless I had to. Lisa has always been very rude to me and my 4 other siblings since the beginning of their marriage. She says really mean and condescending things, and then laughs it off like it was a joke, and my father laughs along with her. My father also tends to ignore my existence altogether unless I do something bad to catch his attention. causing him to go into hour-long lectures about how I'm a failure and how everything is my fault. I mentioned to him a week ago that I will be receiving 4 out of the 5 honor cords possible at my school, hoping he would be proud of the achievement. Instead, he went into one of his famous lectures about how I'm a failure for not getting all 5 honor cords, and that he should have known I wasn't going to measure up to anything, considering I have never been anything but a lazy girl who uses the excuse of depression to get out of doing things. Let me point out that I have bipolar disorder, so when my medication isn't correct, I go into depressive episodes without being able to do anything to get out of it. For example, I was depressed for 4 years straight before I found the right medication to help me 2 years ago. While he was yelling at me, Lisa was in the corner smirking like she finds the whole ordeal hilarious. When my father finally finished yelling at me an hour later, I stood up and told him that if he thought I was such a disappointment, then he wouldn't mind not coming to my graduation or any big moment in my life from now on. I told him he was not welcome in my life anymore and that I don't want anything to do with him or his wife ever again. He was stunned, so I took the chance to leave before he could yell at me some more. On my way out, I walked by Lisa and heard her mutter "good riddance" under her breath. I was tired of her behavior, so I turned towards her and told her that she could shut her mistress of a mouth and go frick herself. I think the utter disbelief on her face was the best thing I have ever seen. Once I got home, I ended up crying to my mom and telling her everything. She agreed with everything that I said and said she would support any choice I made. However, over the past week, I've been receiving texts from my aunt, uncle, and grandma on my father's side, saying that I was a jerk and ungrateful witch, and that I should have never spoken to my father like that. Ever since, I've been debating if I took it too far. So am I the idiot for telling my father and his wife that they aren't allowed at my graduation? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Text to all those flying monkey family members. As a newly minted adult who used my childhood, while Dad was carrying on his illicit affair to earn 4 of the 5 honor cords at my high school, I know a thing or two about honor. Dad and Lisa chose to scoff at my achievements, scold me for my failure, and label me a disappointment. I will not become the family pariah because I balked at their diagnosis. I wonder how many accolades were bestowed upon them, or you, at your high school graduation. Not the idiot. Comment 2. You are not the jerk. The jerks are your dad and his wife. You were right to speak up for yourself, but for your mental and emotional well-being, I wouldn't associate with your dad, his wife, uncle, grandma, and aunt anymore. They have no good intentions towards you. It seems like their only motive is to make you feel less than, and hearing negative things from your own family can be so draining and not worth it. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around. A lot has happened since my last post. The fallout from my confrontation with my dad and Lisa was like a storm that wouldn't let up. My phone was blowing up with messages from family members taking sides. Most of them were on my dad's side, saying I was out of line, but my mom and a couple of cousins were firmly in my corner. It was a mess. Then, out of nowhere, my dad got sick. Really sick. Hospital bed, tubes everywhere kind of sick. It was serious, and suddenly I was getting calls to come see him. I was torn. Part of me felt like it was a trick, just another way for him to pull me back in. But another part, the part that remembered him as my dad before all the cheating and the yelling, that part wanted to go. I made the choice to see him. I thought maybe this was a chance for us to fix things. When I got there, Lisa was by his side, looking all teary-eyed and concerned. It was hard to see her like that and not feel something, even if it was just confusion. I sat with my dad, and we talked. He apologized for everything, said he was proud of me for the honor cords and that he'd been too harsh. It felt good, like maybe we could start over. But then, as I was leaving, I overheard Lisa on the phone. She was talking to someone about my dad's will, about how she was making sure everything would go to her, and that my siblings and I wouldn't get a cent. It was like a slap in the face. All that talk about family and forgiveness, and here she was, plotting behind our backs. I was furious. I went back to my dad's room and confronted him about it. He looked so weak and confused, and he said he didn't know what I was talking about. He promised to fix it, to make sure we were all taken care of. I wanted to believe him, But there was this nagging doubt in the back of my mind. The next day, I got a call from my uncle. He said my dad had changed his will, that everything was going to be split equally among all his kids. I should have been relieved, but I wasn't. Something didn't feel right. I decided to do something I never thought I'd do. I went behind my dad's back and talked to his lawyer. I found out the truth. My dad hadn't changed his will. He was planning to leave everything to Lisa, just like she wanted. The lawyer seemed just as surprised as I was that my dad had lied to me. I felt betrayed all over again. I made the choice right then and there to cut them both out of my life for good. I told the lawyer I didn't want anything from my dad, that they could keep it all. I thought it would make me feel strong, independent, but instead I just felt empty. The aftermath was quiet. Too quiet. My family stopped talking about it, like it was some dirty secret we all agreed to forget. I went back to focusing on school, on my graduation. But it was hard to shake the feeling that I'd made a mistake, that maybe I should have fought harder for what was mine. Then, another bombshell. My dad passed away. Just like that, he was gone. And with him, any chance of fixing what was broken between us. I didn't know how to feel. Sad? Angry? Relieved? It was all too much. At the funeral, Lisa played the grieving widow perfectly. She cried on cue, accepted condolences, and talked about how much my dad loved his kids. It made me sick to my stomach. I wanted to scream, to tell everyone the truth about her. But I didn't. I stayed quiet, stayed strong for my siblings. After the funeral, I found out that Lisa was contesting the will. She said that my dad had promised her everything and that the rest of us were just greedy kids trying to take what wasn't ours. It was like a bad joke. I couldn't believe I was being dragged into this mess after I'd tried so hard to walk away. I had to make another choice, fight her in court or let it go and move on with my life. I chose to fight. It wasn't about the money. It was about proving that she couldn't just walk all over us, that my dad's promises meant something. The court battle was ugly. Lies, accusations, family secrets spilled out for everyone to see. In the end, the judge ruled in our favor. Lisa got a portion, but the rest was split among me and my siblings. It should have felt like a victory, but it didn't. It felt hollow, like we'd all lost something along the way. Now, I'm just trying to pick up the pieces. Graduation is coming up, and I'm supposed to be excited. But it's hard to feel anything but tired. Tired of fighting, tired of being angry, tired of feeling like I have to prove myself over and over again. Thanks for reading. My downstairs neighbors let their toddler wreck my packages and invade my space, so I recorded their illegal party and got them evicted. I live on the top floor of a house. It's a one-bedroom, and my boyfriend and I change our minds about where we want to stay on some weekends. He has a 7-year-old daughter, but she doesn't stay at my place because of the size. And the fact that we are not related, unless it's an emergency and she has nowhere else to go. She's visited. We've been together for 4 years. Downstairs is a regular family, a father, a police officer, a mother whose profession is unknown, and a toddler. They are fairly quiet and use the space at the back for the child to run and play, while I typically use and maintain the front yard. I'm not good with children and had refused their request to babysit, but I do say hello to the adults when I see them. I wave to the child, too. The toddler is curious. He tries to open my packages despite me telling him how wrong it is. Just bring it in, put it by the stairs, and tell the kid to leave it alone. And recently, he has left some cheap toys on the stairs without cleaning up. I've asked the parents to make their child clean up, because if I fall, my insurance won't cover it. I have a joint condition and get injured easily, so I don't need the additional worry of toy cars all over the place. The child has also been asking his mother constantly if he can go into my apartment, to which she says, "Oh, my sweet baby, we can ask." I've said no, I don't like children. I don't want one in my space, touching my things with their sticky hands. I don't think I owe them an explanation as to why I don't want their child making my place dirty. I don't think I'm responsible for teaching their kid about boundaries and how he isn't entitled to go wherever he wants to. I yelled at him. Not only did he try to open yet another package, this one was a care package from my sisters as I live abroad, and screamed and cried, "Mine! Mine!" To which I turned and said, "No, it isn't yours. It is mine. Go away and find your parents." Before trying to ignore this ridiculous tantrum and went inside, only to be followed with him trying to hit and bite me. I turned around and said, "Leave me alone, you annoying little brat. Cry to someone who cares." Then I tripped on one of his little toy cars and dislocated my knee. The toy was destroyed as it became dented and scratched because I stepped on it. Of course, the parents were horrified, but I have so far refused to interact with them. I have also had my packages rerouted to my boyfriend's place, but he lives on Long Island and I live in Queens, so it's inconvenient. They called the landlord, who reminded them that opening mail not addressed to them is a felony. I'm sick and tired of parents who think their spoiled children are entitled to go wherever they want, do whatever they want, and touch whatever they want with their dirty hands. I just want to know, though, for my own sanity, Etta, I wish I hadn't yelled at this child, but my limit of asking for the stairs to be clear, my packages to be left alone, and my right to my own space to be respected was constantly violated. I don't want to be bitten and hit by a toddler simply because he can't have his own way. I also said I wasn't good with kids, not that I hated them. Not particularly enjoying the company of toddlers doesn't mean my boyfriend picked an absolute monster. A 7-year-old isn't a toddler. She respects my space and isn't spoiled. I might have asked for judgment on the situation, but I didn't ask for judgment on my relationship. Take your judgment elsewhere. The only person who can judge that is my boyfriend. Now, for a few comments before the update, comment 1. Not the jerk, but wow, you really don't like kids. I'm assuming you're still really angry about this whole thing. Not complaining about your post. I got a laugh from pinworm-infested hands. And you're 100% correct on, I don't believe I'm a teaching moment for their kid to learn boundaries and how he isn't entitled to go wherever he wants to. I'm sick and tired of parents who think their bratty children are entitled to go wherever they want, do whatever they want, and touch whatever they want with their pinworm-infested hands. Not the jerk for what you said, or the way you said it. Comment 2, not the jerk. I don't like children either, but I can be cordial around them. However, having to deal with that level of a child would have me fall into a mental breakdown. And you know why I don't like children in the first place? Because communicating with them is so difficult, and I already struggle with other adults. There was not much else you could do since the parents are so unbelievably entitled. Their kid is not your kid, not your boyfriend's kid, and therefore none of your belongings or days should be ruined, because Mr. Prince from the first floor wants it. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So, the week started off with a bang, literally. The toddler from downstairs managed to break a window while playing ball in the backyard. Glass everywhere. And guess who got blamed? Me, because apparently, I'm the bad influence who should have been watching him, despite having made it clear I'm not the neighborhood babysitter. Then the father, the cop, decided to confront me about the incident with his son. He was all red-faced, spitting words like bullets, saying I was responsible for his son's behavior because I antagonized the kid. I tried to keep my cool, but when he threatened to make my life difficult, I lost it. I told him to teach his kid some manners instead of flashing his badge at me. But here's where things got messy. My boyfriend's daughter, who's usually an angel, got caught stealing candy from a store. She's never done anything like this before. My boyfriend was devastated, and I couldn't help but feel responsible. Maybe she was acting out because of the tension between me and the neighbors. I don't know, but it felt like a punch to the gut. In the midst of all this, the mother from downstairs came up with a sob story about how they're struggling financially and how the broken window was going to set them back even more. She was laying it on thick, tears and all, and I fell for it. I offered to pay for half the window, thinking it would smooth things over. Big mistake. The next day, I found out they'd gone on a shopping spree with the money I gave them. There was a brand new gaming console in their living room, visible through their still broken window. I was furious. I felt like a fool, taken advantage of by their lies. And as if that wasn't enough, my boyfriend and I had a huge fight. He accused me of not caring about his daughter because I didn't want to deal with the neighbor's kid. That hurt. I care about his daughter, but I don't think it's fair to compare the two situations. The week ended with the toddler's parents throwing a party, loud music thumping through the floor into the early hours. I called the cops, hoping for some peace and quiet. But guess who showed up? The father, off duty, smirking at me like he'd won some sort of prize. He said there was no noise violation and left, leaving me standing there, feeling powerless and angry. Thanks for reading this mess of a week. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!